The Women Land Rights Movement in Uganda held a revival meeting to rekindle the fire of working together to ensure that every woman exercises her rights to own land. This is also due to the effect that 70% of women in Uganda are engaged in agriculture, which is the backbone of the country's economy. But unfortunately, most of them do not own land, and less than 20% of them have control over their agricultural output. The Women Land Rights Movement now wants to make practical the Women's Land Rights Agenda to ensure that they achieve the desired goal.
We have it written in the national land policy. The legal reforms are going to take place. All of these reforms that are being debated and things happening. Can we go individually and collectively work towards ensuring that we make the women land rights work practical? We let it be felt, be seen, be sniffed.
What we have found through our work and through the studies that we have done is that most women in our country do not own land. And when I talk about ownership, I'm talking about legal ownership. Majority of women actually have what we call perceived ownership, where they actually think that they own land, yet in actual sense, they do not own land. So what if perceived ownership basically means that these women have lived on this land, they till this land, they work on this land, and for a long time, they actually think that since I'm on this land, I have a house in this land, it's my land. But in actual sense, it is not their land. Because
they are concerned that the national land policy has been secured, but what remains is the translation of the legal reforms to allow women understand and conform to the national land policy legislations.
We need to know that what follows are the legal reforms, because ideal as a country we put the cart before the horse, and therefore we need to do reverse engineering and take the cart back behind the horse, which is going to require numerous legal reforms to conform to the national land rights policy, to the national land policy provisions. Ladies and gentlemen, we should know what we should negotiate for in the respective legislations, but also demanding for particular legislations to make sure that the provisions of women land rights are not by the way, because they are not debatable by the provisions of the Constitution. I think around the Article 31 to 33 or 33 to 35.
The Ministry of Lands also recognizes that women actually own less than 20% of the land on which they work, and this faces lots of challenges, which called for the ministry's intervention.
The ministry has revisited the interventions that it wants to seek to address in terms of ensuring gender equality and equity, of course, with support of the women's movement. We are actually soon changing some of our laws. They have been listed in a policy statement, but it is good if the women's movement takes a keen interest in this. The Registration of Titles Act is to be amended. We are coming up with new laws. There is the Estates Management Law. There is the Land Acquisition Act. You've all heard of this. There are many. So it now becomes critical that the women's movement becomes part and parcel of all these processes, other than just turning a blind eye.
Dennis Obo is concerned that women are still ignorant of the laws and policies that have failed them to participate effectively in the land matters.
This strategy has noted that women are not homogeneous. That is true. You have the illiterate, the semi-literate, the illiterate. But when it comes to the land and land issues, by the way, it affects each one differently. So there is that lack of knowledge to women at each and every category of levels. And as long as you do not have that information, you are vulnerable to all sorts of things, from fraud, false transactions, mention it. So this is an area where we actually need to work on.
The meeting aimed at reviving the women's land rights movement to encourage themselves and join hands in fighting for the rights of women to own land. Stephen